Well, I'm showing 4:30 here on my clock. Shall we get started?
Yes, sir.
Sure. So, as you know, this is a follow-up to the budget work session that we had. I think we wanted to schedule this for a couple of reasons. One, if there were some developments with revenue um, that might give us a better idea of what we were looking at going into this next fiscal year. And then also to kind of go over any changes that we might have between that budget work session and now. So on the kind of development front of what we know about funding from the state, there's not a lot of new good information. We've heard a little bit about them using CARE funding to prop the budget up a little bit. At one point, they were talking about having a $3.2 billion shortfall in the budget. I don't really know what that exactly looks like now. I think that projection is probably still the case, except they may be using some federal funds. And of course, there's more discussion about federal funds even as late as today. So we don't have a lot of good information. I like our approach in terms of being conservative on some of our revenue items going into next year, but we don't have any, I think, better information on revenue sharing or Act 51 for that matter. So at this point, we're going to have to move forward with what we do know. We do have a number of changes that we've made. They're not all that significant, but we're prepared to go over those. So I can go ahead and share. I guess first, before we do that, I don't know if anyone has any questions about projected revenues, impacts from the state, so forth. Okay. Yeah, I wish we knew more, but I think we're in this period of uncertainty. So I'll go ahead and see if I can share this document. There we go. So this is a summary that Holly put together, and she's going to go through these and explain, and we can answer any questions. Holly.
Okay, so the page numbers that are referring to on this document are referring to the page number in the full complete budget summary that you, I think, received by email. So, on page 1, which is the summary of everything, just try to be consistent throughout the budget document and change the name to Sturgis Young Center for the Arts. There are several places included in the budget. Try to change that. I'm sure I may have missed one, but that's not a financial change. We also eliminated the line for the Council of the Arts since we're not adopting a budget for that any longer. There's no need to include that in the resolution page on the front. So on page 8 of your document, it's the area of the general fund that talks about the contributions to and from other funds. So this one, there are some changes. We reduced the general fund transfer to the cemetery so what happened was we had a person who was working at the Doyle Center, and they were actually being funded from a combination of the cemetery, Doyle, and recreation funds. It worked out actually really well so that, we were able to have a full-time person sitting at the desk that wasn't entirely paid for out of there. So they did a combination. That person is retiring, which means we're going to have a decrease in the benefit costs for that person. We still, in the cemetery, have budgeted for that for the wages, because we expect actually for a part-time person to still do that work for the cemetery, but we'll have a decrease in benefit costs. So which is good for the cemetery because the cemetery fund, their fund balance is getting really low. So that is actually a good thing. So we reduced the transfer to the cemetery accordingly, and then we increased the transfer to the Doyle and the recreation by basically the same amount. And that is to, the net effect in the general fund for that is negligible. But the idea is that we really realize the benefit of having that full-time person sitting at the desk. We would prefer not to operate the cemetery administrative support out of the Doyle Center, though. That's going to be absorbed into City Hall. So that's mainly the difference in those 3 items altogether. Any questions about that? It's kind of a confusing thing, but.
Yes, I've got a question.
Yeah.
Who do you plan to take over Sue's job?
So she's going to continue to work part-time.
Right.
As a retiree for now. So she's doing that. Also, we have people at City Hall. We're actually learning the BSNA program for the cemetery here. Selling lots would be done, from City Hall, from here. So the customer service counter area. Currently, they're using the BSNA tax program, and the cemetery program is the same type of software.
Almost there, Sue.
But Sue is still working. She's still going to be working part-time. So that's why the wages are still budgeted basically the same as they were, but the benefit costs are going down because she'll be a retiree and would just be working part-time. So that's the plan for that.
So, but that's just a short-term plan right now.
No, I think the long-term plan would be we would have the cemetery sales, the foundation orders, all of that would flow through City Hall essentially, which is where Sue would be working. So in the event that she retired and wasn't working, then we would have we would be fully able to service those here at City Hall.
Okay.
With current staff. Somebody's laughing about that.
Not me.
Okay.
Well, you giggled, but I didn't laugh. Okay, that's all I need. Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
It's like the vice mayor has his hand raised. John, you're on mute.
All right. Anyway, just an observation. I was thinking, Holly said we'd rather not have the cemetery operating out of the Doyle Center. There's a cute little building right adjacent to the auditorium. You could put the cemetery operations in there, maybe. Just a thought. Okay, go ahead with the budget.
Okay. Anything else?
No.
Okay. Okay. The other, then moving into the street funds, we reduced. So included in the budget, there are contracted services for storm sewer cleaning and resurfacing. And if you recall, during the other budget work session, we talked a little bit about, and I never would have thought in a million years that I'd be talking about this, but the major and local street fund balances have really become healthier, at this point. Going forward, of course, is a bit uncertain, but at the moment, they have nice, healthy fund balances, definitely improved over several years ago. Anyway, it's good that we didn't just spend that all of that right away, but included in next year's budget, we had included some contracted work for storm sewer cleaning and resurfacing in the major and local street fund budgets. After further review by the city engineer, you know, it was kind of budgeted at a 50-50 split because that's what controllers like to do. You know, they like things to be even, but really, after the city engineer took a look at it and really looked at the street projects that we want to do in those resurfacing projects, as well as which ward would be included in the storm sewer cleaning, we needed to reduce the major street by 129 and increase the local street by 129. So that's, the total is the same, but the distribution between major streets and local streets is different. Any questions about that?
Are there major streets not in need of the maintenance as the local streets? Is that
It's
why
not-
we're switching?
Well, it's not so much that as much as when we do a major street, it's going to be probably more like a major reconstruction project versus resurfacing. So when it comes to like mill and resurfacing, we don't have to worry as much about utilities in the road. We don't have to worry about as much expenditures for those projects. So we have a lot of smaller local streets that we could resurface without having to worry about those other projects. Because like when we're doing our capital plan, if we're looking at a major street, then it includes, you know, water main updates, sewer main updates. And so those affect those other projects. So we always have more streets that we can fix and repair, but with next year, and then the storm sewer is Ward 3, which I should probably know where that is, but
Yeah, I think it's precinct. It's generally precinct 3.
okay. Yeah,
Mhm.
and that's where most of the storm sewer cleaning was going to be done, which is mostly local
Yeah.
streets.
In other words, on the Mr. Burr, on the street resurfacing part, what Barry's running into is that we're running out of major streets that make sense for resurfacing. They're probably better candidates for reconstruction.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, I know that we get money from the state for major street, but not for local. So I just thought that if we were going to do some work on the major streets, we could, well, maybe not next year, but generally speaking, we can get don't we get funded from the state of Michigan for major streets?
We get state of Michigan Act 51 money for both major and local.
Right.
We get more per mile on the major streets. So,
Right.
you know, the Act 51 money included in the budget for major streets for next year is 850,000 compared to 300 for local. But we also have the county road millage of 230, which essentially all goes into local. So between,
Okay.
you know, it kind of evens it out.
Okay. Thank you.
You're welcome. The other street
Howard?
adjustment, yeah,
Commissioner Wiki has his hand raised. for a
Okay.
question.
sure.
Mike kind of answered my question a little bit as far as resurfacing, knowing that we also have to keep on track with changing out all the lead services. And the only way to do that is to do reconstruction. But it sounds like most of the resurfacing projects are done. So that was kind of my question as far as that goes.
Right.
Yeah, and we've talked about this before, how we're going to run into this issue of having, you know, a requirement of doing, I think it was something like 50 services a year to keep
Mhm.
track, and then getting into situations where we're going to have to do lead service replacements without the, you know, the funds to be able to reconstruct. But as you'll see that when we're doing some reconstruct projects, so we're going to be meeting that easily. It's just that when we're doing, I mean, I think the point you're making is when we're doing resurfacing and we have a lot of local streets that need to be resurfaced, we're not going to be always changing out those lead services. And in you know, looking at next fiscal year, I think we have $400,000 budgeted for lead service replacement. There's no way that we would just overwhelm people with the rate increases if we tried to reconstruct everything with a resurface. And by the way, it's not always necessary, because one of the things that we should be doing when we're looking at even a resurface is looking at that life of the water main. And this always happens where sometimes you resurface and then you get a water main break, you got to go repair it. But even if you had the money to replace every water main, you probably wouldn't, because just because it breaks in one spot doesn't mean it's, you're at the end of its useful life. The unfortunate issue is we have water mains under streets, and you're always going to get situations where there's water main breaks on newer surface.
Mm-hmm. Right. And the last thing we wouldn't want to like resurface a street and then have to turn around and tear it up to replace the water main. So
yeah, well, I predict that, we're going to get to a point in the next 20 years where because of the requirement to all those changeover of lead services, that we're going to actually be getting into roads that are seemingly fine. And from the person, they're going to be trying to figure out why we're tearing up a street.
Right. And we are also, with regard to the lead service lines, we're always looking for other, if I know that we're going to be trying some boring, we're boring under, maybe to avoid some of that damage as an alternative, to see if we can find another way to replace those without tearing up the street as much. The curb and gutter. It's really expensive when we tear, we have to dig in the terrace, and we have to restore the lawn. We have to restore the curb and gutter, the sidewalk. Driveway, right. So trying to do some boring to see if maybe that can help avoid some of those costs. So the next line, which is on refers to page 12, has to do with street and sidewalk improvement. And this, just a reminder, this fund is the one that includes the the city voted millage for street improvements. And this year, we had budgeted $35,000 for sidewalk improvements, but in talking with the city engineer, he was recommending that we reduce that to more like $5,000 this year, and move 30 into next year. So that is one of the changes as to why that is going up 30,000. It won't affect the overall fund balance, because like I said, we're not going to spend that this year. So we're just going to move it into next year. Any questions about that? Commissioner Burr?
No.
Okay, you weren't muted, so I wanted to make sure. And then in the 24, 25, and 27 is all referring to the same staffing change that we were talking about, which again is changing the front desk, making that front desk person at the Doyle a full-time job that's not split. So between the Doyle and Recreation, they need to absorb that increase in cost. Which is again why it was partially funded, not fully dollar for dollar, but partially funded by increasing the transfer from the general fund. The last item on that list is the capital reserve fund. During the budget review, realized that there were and this has happened I think before, but the transfers coming into the auditorium and the Doyle and the airport from the capital reserve need to match what's in the capital reserve for going out. So that's what that 23,000 is to just adjust that. So that's really everything that has changed in the budget document itself from last time. Any other questions? Not a lot of changes. A few. Do you want me to talk about any of the changes in the capital plan, Mike?
Sure.
Okay. So in the capital plan that was sent out, there really were just a couple changes there. The one change has to do with the sewer capital. Tom requested, he had included rebuilding clarifiers number 2 and 3. You'd think that 2 would come before 3, which is the way it was in the former capital plan that you saw, but actually after looking at the clarifiers, they are flipping those and actually rebuilding clarifier 3 in 2022 and the other one in 2023. So it's not affecting, well, the only other change was, I think on your agenda tonight is there's a chemical building on the agenda tonight for the wastewater plant. And so as a result of that, some of that work will be done this fiscal year yet. So the amount that was in 2021 was reduced from 280 to 100 because some of that will be done yet this fiscal year. So in wastewater, those changed. The only other item that changed actually was in the police and fire area. Again, it's not for next year. It's actually in 2022. There was an item listed for replacing the truck exhaust ventilation for 20,000, and we've received some quotes and have updated that estimate to 34,741 based on more current information. So we did update that amount. Lastly, I should point out under the water capital, we need to add so the lead service line replacement that Mike was referring to. Basically next year we have 400,000 and then it's 250,000 a year going forward. In that last year, there should be a 250 there as well. So, because that's going to go on for 20 years, I think. So that'll be reflected in the final document as well. That's all I have.
For your information, we are planning to make a request from Eagle to reduce our required percentage of lead services from 5, I think we're requesting 2%. And I don't know how likely it is that they'll approve it. It seems like we would be a good candidate because we haven't had any, lead sampling issues. And I don't think most communities are aware of this option. And the feedback from Eagle is they're probably not going to exercise it often, but there's this provision in the statute that based on a request, you can potentially reduce the required or mandated amount from 5% to something less. And the reason why I want to request that is because it'll give us some flexibility and avoid us from the situation that I was just discussing, tearing up roads unnecessarily. So we would, how it's really going to happen, and I think from a practical standpoint, is that when we're doing reconstruction projects, we're going to end up doing more than what we're required in certain years. So I don't know that we'll extend out past 20 years. I think it's likely that we'll probably still meet 20 years if we're reconstructing streets. It's just that from year to year, it'll give us a little flexibility. So if in one year we do, let's say 55 services, the next year maybe we're only going to do 40 and we don't have to go search for 10 services to rip a street up and replace. So that's my strategy, is just getting a little bit of flexibility. We haven't made that request, but we've let them know that we plan to, and they want us to update documents before we do that. So that's something that we've been working on. I don't know if there's any other questions.
Mike, when you're talking about replacement lines, are you looking at PVC or copper?
Oh, we're looking at copper. Mm-hmm.
Okay, we don't use PVC at all then?
No.
Okay.
So tonight, I had planned on doing, and I still plan on it, but doing a presentation, just an overview of the budget. In the past, I've done it a lot of different ways. And sometimes I'll actually just look around and see who might have shown up to the commission meeting. And if there's a decent amount of people, I'll present. But I typically will only present either when we're setting the public hearing or at the meeting where we have the public hearing. A lot of times we don't have anybody show up for, we don't have a lot of people that show up to the meeting, so I won't present much because I'm just repeating things for the commission. But I'm just wondering if it's a little bit different with, I think, doing a Zoom meeting, because I think there might be a higher expectation to do a presentation when we have the public hearing. I guess I'm just looking for your thoughts. If you want me to do something, if you want me to present something tonight when we set the public hearing, or you'd prefer that I actually do a summary at the meeting on the 12th when we have the public hearing.
Do a presentation tonight, Mike, then would you do one on the 12th also?
I probably wouldn't, I'd just do one or the other. I mean, if you want me, I can do both. I'm guessing that we're not going to have a lot of people looking on. I just think that if we do have anybody that attends the meeting when we have the public hearing, it might seem sort of strange if I don't do any presentation.
My thought is to do it on the 12th of August at the public hearing.
Vice Mayor does have his hand raised.
Yeah, I agree with the mayor. I think that the night of the public hearing would be the optimal time to give a summary presentation rather than the night we set the hearing.
Okay.
I think you would have to do another summary when we do the public hearing on the 12th. So why do it twice?
Right. And like I said in the past, you know, if at the meeting that we're setting the public hearing, you know, there's no one there, I probably wouldn't do a presentation. The hard part is that, you know, when I do the presentation and you have the public hearing and approval in the same night, sometimes it seems like everything's happening at the same time. But I mean, given the way that we're doing these Zoom meetings, I think doing it at the same night of the public hearing probably does make more sense. Okay, unless there's any other thoughts, I'll just we'll just set the public hearing tonight and then I'll do a presentation at the 12th.
Okay.
Thank you.
Sounds good.
So I think that's all from staff's end. That was a pretty short meeting, but I guess it gives people the time to maybe have a bite to eat and go to the meeting.
Yeah, so I'm gonna just leave this meeting open until the regular meeting. I'll put a screen up. If you wanna, you can either mute and shut off your camera or log off and then come back closer to 6 o'clock. Either or, but
So the 6 o'clock is just going to be a continuation of this
that's
one?
correct. That's correct.
I don't have to go to the invitation for panelists.
Well, you did to log on to this. So unless you log off the meeting and want to come back on that way, you'd go back to your email that you logged on to this meeting for or with.
Okay.
And then Mike sent something for closed session, but that'll be at the end of the night. So
Right.
Jeff, did you have a question?
Yeah, I do. Just real quick. Just looking over all the stuff that was sent over to us before tonight. We also got a sheet. I think it was at the budget work session that we had. It was a vehicle replacement priority list. I don't know if you remember sending that out to us or giving it to us. I think Holly probably did. On that thing, there's a couple of things. There's a few carryovers on there that I see. There's one thing in there that's sticking out to me that I'm not sure what it is. There's a down in the equipment purchases is mobile column lifts. That's a carryover from this year.
Yeah.
What is a mobile column lift? You know?
So yeah, those are the and they may still, this may disappear by the time we get to the actual budget, but they're the 4 pillars that are in the mechanics bay that raise and lower the car. So
it's for raising the cars up and down on
Yep.
And then one other thing there, we're replacing, we got a couple of Ford F-150s that we're going to be doing, and they say 2-year rotation on that. You had in the notes on that thing. One of them was replacing a Durango for the city hall, and one was replacing a Ford Focus for community development.
Right.
I'm just curious as to 2 Ford F-150s for city hall and community development. What are they used for, both of those? The one for city hall and one for community development. Wouldn't that be one and this kind of the same, or is that different?
No. So the one for city hall is for facilities department. So Dan, who goes all over the place, and you know, Doyle and auditorium, or of course he probably walks the auditorium, but you know, Spence Field, and so that is if he's currently using a recycled Durango. So he drives, you know, all over the city doing different things, depending on the projects that are happening. And then the other one is the community development, which is essentially Will doing the building and property inspections.
So
you know, it seems sometimes I think it seems like an easy thing to have like a vehicle be shared, but it's really, I think we've kind of tried that, and it's like, you know, about the time that you both need it at the same time type thing. And so the idea with this is that, and we talked about several years ago doing this with the Ford Focuses, because as a city, we're able to buy some of these vehicles at a really reduced price. And those small pickup trucks are probably the one item that we get the best discount really on. And so the idea, what we'd really like to try with this is, you know, buy these, get that really deep discount that we get, drive them for 2 years, and then sell them, you know, before they're out of warranty, before you have to do a lot of work to them. And we should do really well actually on the costs. We've had people who want to talk to us from some of the rental car places that want to kind of take over our fleet, and essentially that's what they want us. I mean, essentially that's the deal that they're kind of promoting to us, is to, hey, we'll take over your fleet for you. We're basically just going to rotate these vehicles on a much shorter basis so they get replaced and then resell them. But we'd like to try to do it ourselves rather than share that with somebody else. So.
Okay, I was just curious about why we were going from a Ford Focus to a F-150 pickup truck for community development. If that's the case for Will, Tim, whatever, I'm not sure. I wasn't sure why we would be going to a pickup truck for that particular.
Well, we can, the Ford Focuses I don't think they're making those anymore. And they're just a really small compact car. I think initially we were using the Ford Focuses for meter reading, which we're not, we were buying those for meter reading, driving them around town, and then turning around and selling those, or recycling them down. But I don't know if
one of the Ford Focuses we had for sale that Dan had posted looked like it was I think they're going to rust underneath.
Pardon?
It looked like it was falling apart from rust underneath. They were showing underneath pictures.
Yeah, we kept that too long. I mean, really, we kept that.
Is that this 2012 that we're talking about replacing here for them, or is that's a different one, isn't it?
The one we're selling is a 2005, and it was at the airport.
Oh, okay. So we got it in 2012, but it was 2005. Is that what you're saying?
No, we got it in 2000. We would have bought that new.
Oh, okay. Well, on this, it says 2012 for year, so I didn't know if that was year, we obtained it of the year that it was the year of the vehicle, so.
It might, are you looking at that motor vehicle sheet, summary sheet?
Yeah, the priority replacements.
Oh, the priority list?
The one's being sold has been out of service for a while then, is that what you're saying?
Oh, yeah. Well,
Okay.
the one that's being sold, yeah, it's been out of service for a while. Yeah.
Okay.
It was at the airport, but
Oh, and one more thing on those, you know, we talked some time ago about the cemetery was borrowing a backhoe or a mini excavator. I'm not sure which one. I see that we've got backhoes for both cemetery and DPS on next year, and also a mini excavator. Does DPS already have a mini excavator, and we're replacing the one that they have? Is that what that mini one?
we were actually going to keep that, the one that we currently have, that's a mini excavator that we had actually bought used. We're going to keep that in the fleet, and DPW will probably use it more. This one is to get a new one. So we'll actually have two of them. They're really handy, especially on the water main with all the lead service line stuff. We've been using those a lot too.
So DPS and cemetery backhoes are replacements for what they already have? Nothing's new?
Well, cemetery and DPS both have backhoes now.
Okay.
And we did, you know, at one point we were considering that maybe that the cemetery didn't need a backhoe, but in talking with Tony, they do need a backhoe. Now that one, the price difference on that, I think, is because we might try to find a gently used one there.
Right.
Because it doesn't, but the DPW one, I mean, that just gets a lot of use and
now with as far as backhoe versus mini excavator, wasn't there a conversation a few months back about not being able to get a backhoe into the places to do things that they needed to at the cemetery? That's why they needed a mini excavator potentially.
Well, I think that they're going to continue to look at that and evaluate that. But as far as not having a backhoe and just having a mini excavator, they weren't ready. So to eliminate that, the need for that backhoe. Now, would they, and I guess, you know, especially if we have too many excavators, I mean, the whole idea with the fleet is, you know, you have enough equipment to be able to do the work that you need to do, but it's a pooled fleet. So, you know, in a sense, you know, if cemetery needed a mini excavator for a specific project, they could get it from the barn. So
is there has there been any talk about using the mini excavator that's being replaced to hand down to the cemetery for their uses if they needed one there? Or are they just going to continue to use when they need it, share it kind of thing, new one?
I think they're going to continue to use and share it right now. I don't think they have, and they don't really have room either in the barn, I don't think, to store one.
Okay. I just thought it was problematic for them with the backhoe only and not having a mini. So that's why I'm just.
Yeah, I mean, I was thinking like, oh, maybe you're not going to replace the backhoe and just going to switch to the mini, but that was not the recommendation.
Okay.
Yes, Commissioner Mullins, that using a mini excavator to dig a grave would probably take about 4 hours as opposed to an hour.
Okay.
In all the years that I worked there, we could always get the backhoe in where we needed to. It maybe once out of the 20 some years, we had a struggle with it because we can't move those monuments. But they use the mini excavator more for digging foundations. They thought it was a lot faster and easier. So that's why they wanted the mini excavator, not so much to take the place of the backhoe, because the backhoe has lots of functions, as well as even pushing snow in the winter when the snow gets too tall or too wet or thick. Sometimes you have to take the backhoe and clear it before you can plow it. So there's a lot of uses with a front end loader than with a mini excavator.
The other thing, Commissioner Burr, isn't it so when they're doing the foundations, I mean, they typically will dig several of those like in a relatively short period of time, right? When they're getting ready to do the foundations.
Right, they typically pour twice a year.
Yeah.
They're again, I always did it by hand. It was not the favorite job, but I think you had a little bit more control on it. But there again, if they can do it with a mini excavator, good for them.
And so that's why they're able to like borrow that one, because it's really just essentially just a few days, so they can schedule to borrow.
Right. Right. They probably use it, just to the big push is in, of course, before Memorial Day, and then in the fall before the weather gets nasty, and they're tied up with leaf removal. So those are the two prime times to be using it.
All right. Well, thank you guys both, but I'm just curious because I remember that conversation and I thought that they were in need of one. So that was why I didn't see anything going on for them.
Well, now there's two that they can borrow instead of just one.
All right. Thank you.
Because the electric department uses theirs a lot too. They use the
Oh, yeah.
mini excavator a lot.
Holly, quick question.
Yeah.
If we're getting rid of the focuses, what are we going to leave out at the airport?
We still have a few focuses.
And they're still good enough shape to do that then, right?
We have one out there now. I think it's a 2012. It's at the airport now.
Okay. But as those rotate out, what are we going to, what do we have in mind? I mean, all of a sudden we've got all these F-250, or we got these pickup trucks. We're not going to leave a pickup truck out there, are we?
I don't know, but I think we probably would continue to evaluate how much that vehicle is being used out there at the airport for that purpose.
Okay, thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Excuse me.
Leave a charger out there.
There you go.
Pilots would love that.
Mhm.
Sounds like I can grab something to eat. Hey,
Sounds like it.
Good idea.
are we done?
Yeah,
Now,
Put us loose.
if you're planning on leaving your computer just on during the interim, if you could just shut video off your screen and mute your mic, I would appreciate it. I'm going to put a little title screen up letting people know when the regular meeting starts.
Hey, Andrew, how do you shut the video off? I can see the mute, but where's the video?
Are you on a laptop, Jeff, or tablet?
Yes, laptop.
So right by the mute button, right next to it, there should be a little camera that says stop video, or yep.
Got it.
All right.
Thank you.
Yep.
Still looking.
So Skip, you might have to take your mouse down to the very bottom of the screen. There should be a whole toolbar that shows up.
Okay.
Then there's like on the left-hand side, there should be mute
Yeah, got to mute.
and stop video right next to it.
Yep.
So click on the little camera. That should shut off your screen.
Okay, now when I want it back on, that's all I got to do is click on it.
Yep.
That's at 6.
That's at 6 o'clock. Yes.
Okay. See you then.
All righty. Thanks, Skip.
Thank you.
Oh. You brought your video back on, Skip. There you go. Evening, Jeff.
Hi, Andrew.
Hey, just wanted to let you know while we're waiting for the meeting, this is set up and streaming live. So just FYI.
Okay, thanks.
Yep. Welcome, Father.
Oh, we're streaming.
We are streaming, yes. So we're live to Facebook, or excuse me, to YouTube right at the moment. So
Okay. Hold on, I have to go brush my hair first.
fair enough. Fair enough. Yeah. So we should be. We had a work session at 4:30, so everybody's kind of on break for the moment, but should be rejoining here shortly. So feel free if you want to just mute your mic and turn your video off for a little bit. We'll be getting started here shortly.
Okay, I'm gonna do that.
All right.
See, you're the only one.
Well, it doesn't start till 6.
I know, but he
Maybe
said,
Andrew.
Skip.
All right.
I thought we signed in for this one to begin with.
You did. So you're good. We have a second closed session at the end of the meeting that he'll need to switch again. So he's all right for the regular meeting.
So okay, so after this one,
Yes,
you're going, we have to go to Mike Hughes's message, or,
that's correct. Yep.
but the first one, we went to you, to your
Yep.
message.
And
Okay,
that's what you did for this one. Yeah, he
all
didn't,
right.
he didn't end up leaving, so he's in good shape.
Well, we left and we came back.
That's good.
Yeah.
So we're gonna do a 3 for tonight?
Yes, we have a closed session at the end of this one, so.
Oh, that's right. We gotta decide. Congratulate or high five.
Yeah, just, we do have, the meeting is being streamed to YouTube right now, so
Okay.
it's public and open.
All right.
There, that's
Good to
better.
know.
Now you get your whole face.
Ooh, got my whole face. Wow.
See, when you move, you're gonna, oh, and there's my finger. Oh, wait a minute, I'm gonna pick your nose.
May I remind you, this is going out to everybody at the moment, so.
Nobody's on but us.
No, it's also being streamed out to YouTube. Now, I don't think anybody's looking right now, but just.
Oh,
I mean, I gotta get fully dressed.
that's why my face.
Afterwards, he may have millions of followers, though.
That's correct.
Woo!
That may not be good.
Well, somebody spoke to him on the way out of the post office today. Young, blonde, nice looking.
Yeah. Didn't know
But
who
he
she
didn't-
was, but she told me hi. Probably because she knew Andrew Cook.
Probably.
Not true. Not true.
Didn't know me either, but oh well.
You didn't know her. She knew you.
Yeah.
Well, Skip, did you get your dinner?
Yes, I did. I had lunch with the Colonel.
All right.
I like Colonels, KFCs. Low fat, low cal. Any golf lately?
Yeah, I played this last weekend.
Did you?
How's Jeff feeling?
Where at?
In Buchanan.
Oh, okay.
We went camping and I had a chance to go play golf with my
Oh, that's right. That's right. Close by.
Yeah. Nice golf course over there.
Yeah.
Work session's over with.
I think Jeff can come off his diet now. He looks like he's skinny enough. Right, Jeff? You been working out or healing?
Oh, working out.
Oh, okay. Oh, you look good. Look great.
Thank you, sir.
Those Dodges working out for you?
Yeah, so far everything's been really good. So hopefully it stays that same. But we've got supply issues coming up soon, so we'll probably be talking about that in August.
Are they V6s?
8.
Really?
I believe so, yeah.
Holy cow, no wonder they're scooters.
Hello, Mayor.
Hello there, Roger. How are you this evening?
I'm good.
Tom's on here. Good evening, Tom. How are you? Ryan just popped in. How are you this evening, sir?
I'm well, thank you. How are you?
I am fine.
Outstanding.
Right. Susie's back and she's got a companion with her. Hi, Monica.
Hi. Who said that?
I did.
Oh, okay.
This is going to be it till the first one in August. Is that right, Mayor?
Yeah.
Okay.
Oh, that's right. Why have you brought me up?
That's right.
Yay. Thank you.
You bet. You don't. Well, you don't, or you
It
do?
beeps if the door is not shut too.
Cool. Smart fridge.
Evening, everyone.
Good evening, Commissioner Klinger. How are you?
Good, good. Mobile tonight, so I'm gonna avoid the video so we can still hear me.
All righty. My clock is showing 6 o'clock, and I'm going to call this meeting to order. I do have a few people that aren't have pictures on the screen yet, but I'm going to call this meeting to order. Andrew, can you just go over the guidelines for this virtual meeting, please?
Sure, Mr. Mayor. As we've done with previous virtual meetings, all votes of the City Commission will be done via roll call vote so that everybody can hear. Each agenda item will allow for citizen comment and participation in addition to our visitors section of the agenda. Individuals can participate by attending the Zoom meeting and then using the raise hand feature during public comment to be recognized by the mayor and the City Commission to provide comment. I think we know the rest from there, Mr. Mayor. So.
I thank you, Andrew. Appreciate it. Can we do the Pledge of Allegiance, please?
Sure.
Okay.
Give a flag.
Okay. I pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, liberty and justice for all.
Our invitation tonight, I asked Vice Mayor Good if we could get Father Andrew from Holy Angels to do that for us, and he has agreed. Father Andrew, welcome to our meeting tonight. Would you please provide us with an invitation?
Thank you for your invitation. It's my pleasure to be here. And so let's begin with a prayer. In the name of the Father, and of the Son, and of the Holy Spirit. Amen. Come, Holy Spirit, fill the hearts of your faithful, and kindle in them the fire of your love. Send forth your Spirit, and they shall be created, and you shall renew the face of the earth. O God, who by the light of the Holy Spirit did instruct the hearts of the faithful, grant that by the same Holy Spirit we may be truly wise, and ever rejoice in his consolations. Through Christ our Lord. Amen.
Amen.
Father in heaven, we ask your blessing upon this City Commission meeting, that all of those who are involved in the important decision-making processes may always be guided by the wisdom and light of the Holy Spirit, that they may keep in mind the needs of the most vulnerable, that we may learn each day to care for one another, to see Christ Jesus, our brother, and our brothers and sisters among us. We pray through Christ our Lord.
Amen.
Amen.
Amen. Thank you, Father Andrew. Appreciate it very much. Thank you. Mr. Rhodes, roll call, please.
Commissioner Mullins.
Present.
Thank you. Commissioner Burr.
Here.
Commissioner Klinger.
Here.
Commissioner Wiki.
Here.
Commissioner Malone.
Here.
Commissioner Littman.
Here.
Vice Mayor Good.
Here.
Mayor Heil.
Here. Thank you. The next item on our agenda is the proclamations and presentations. We have two of those. The first item is the PAINT program update. Will.
Thank you, commissioners. Kind of give you a breakdown and update on where we were from last year's Neighbor to Neighbor PAINT program. This program came together between the City of Sturgis, Sturgis Neighborhood Program, and Habitat for Humanity. Came together, all three parties have put something into the group. Sturgis Neighborhood Program, Monica Smith, she's put together, she's like the administrator for the program. Habitat for Humanity, they have donated all of the paint. I think we have 6 paint colors that people are able to choose. And City of Sturgis, they've donated money to cover some of the paint supplies and some of the equipment for the volunteers to use. So what we do is, as we come across some of the enforcements for peeling paint or houses that need to be painted, we send out notification to them with a letter about the program, and then they reach out and contact Monica Smith, and then she does an evaluation, goes through an application process with them, and makes a decision on what they need and how we can help them. So Monica's with us tonight. I think it's best if she goes through kind of her application and what she saw in the field when she was there.
So this is where you want me to take it now? What we did last year is we had an application, and this program is for homeowners, owner occupants. So we're not just giving free paint to somebody who just wants to change the color of their house or improve a home they don't live in. So with the process, we just ask their name, of course, their address. It's quite simple. And the way that we contacted owners last year was through the Community Development Department's list of property owners who were, I guess, in violation of the exterior maintenance code. And then we could follow up with a letter from the neighborhood program explaining the program. They would send their application. I would meet with them, get them the application, tell them their color choices. They would return the application completed. Will and I usually would go out, assess the property, determine how much paint we thought they needed, and then we'd coordinate a pickup for them to get the paint they needed in the color of their choice, including primer. And we'd coordinate that pickup, and then they follow through, hopefully by painting their house and then taking care of any citation issues they had. And then two other partners we had in the program last year were Affordable Tool Rental, who would let us rent lifts at a discounted rate for volunteer use, and Cotton's Hardware, which supplied all of the supplies at their cost. And what we do besides the paint and the primer is we give the homeowner the supplies they need, a tray that includes brushes, rollers, scrapers, and things that they would need to complete their project. Did I catch it all, Will?
Yep. How many did we have apply and go through last year?
We had several calls last year, but for the follow through, we had 7 applicants. Of those 7, 5 successfully completed their projects. I think 1 is still in process. They may take a little longer to do theirs than others. And I think part of the thing was last year it was new, and I think people thought maybe it was too good to be true that they could get free paint and supplies. And when we brought this to the commission last year, you approved a $5,000 fund for it. Of that fund, there's $3,040 remaining in that fund. And the paint that was used last year was replenished this year by Habitat for Humanity. So we still have our colors and availability. It is limited. I think we get 40 gallons on a pallet of each color. So it's basically a first come, first serve for people who follow through.
And I think our goal this year is, due to COVID-19 and some of the exposure issues we may have walking up to people's doors and knocking on them, is we're going to try to reach out to all the people with outstanding violations who haven't completed, try to get Monica in touch with them, let them understand the program, and see if we can help those groups, as well as leave it open for anybody to reach out to us who may have an issue, may need their house painted. So.
Hey, Dan. He'll call you back. He'll call you back. He's
Okay. Be happy to answer any questions at this point on the Neighbor to Neighbor paint program.
Well, I've got a question for you. When a person is granted the paint and stuff like that, is there a time frame they need to get this done?
Yeah. When they get their notice of violation, typically they're given until September or October. They're somewhere in that time frame. And we go out there and kind of discuss with them what they've got done. If they need additional time, we grant them additional times to get it done. So yes.
Okay, thank you. Again, I cannot see the screen if you have a hand up or anything. So either Andrew will catch it, or you're gonna have to wave at the screen.
And right now we have 2 applications in process, and to try to keep it in, with everything going on with COVID-19 and the restrictions and a little, the contactless aspect of it, I have emailed people applications or dropped them off at their homes along with paint boards. So we have 2 applications in process right now with more. What we'll do is I'll be coordinating with Will to send letters, and like Will said, do that firsthand contact with people who, the program would be a good fit for them.
All right, any other questions for either Monica or Will on this project? Andrew, do you see anything out there, any hands at all?
No hands raised, Mr. Mayor.
All right, I guess we can move on to the next item. Thank you, Will. Thank you, Monica.
Thank
The
you.
next item on the proclamations and presentation section is pool rules and regulations is going to be presented by Will. Will, tell us about.
Thank you again. Most everything I'm going to go over with you guys right now is pertaining to above ground storable pools. So a lot of the rules carry on to all different types of pools, but most of this is above ground. That's what we handle the most of here at the city. So basically residential swimming pools are regulated by a variety of national, state, and local laws, including Michigan Residential Building Code, International Swimming Pool and Spa Code, Michigan Electric Code, National Electric Safety Code, and local ordinances. All types of pools are regulated, whether it be permanent underground pools, permanent above ground pools, or portable storable pools. I'm going to go through the general requirements for the regulations of the code or the ordinance. So the city of Sturgis is under the requirements of the Michigan Residential Code for residential dwellings and their accessory structures, also known as the building code. Permits are required for all pools with the exceptions for prefabricated swimming pools that are less than 24 inches deep and not greater than 5,000 gallons and that installed entirely above ground. All other pools are required to apply for a permit, gain approval prior to installation of the pool. The Michigan Residential Code states that the design and construction of pools and spas shall comply with the International Swimming Pool and Spa Code. There's a specific chapter in the code that refers directly to on-ground storable residential swimming pools. The definition for an on-ground storable pool is a pool which can be disassembled for storage or transport. This includes portable pools with flexible or non-rigid walls that achieve their structural integrity by means of uniform shape, a support frame, or a combination thereof, and that can be disassembled for storage or relocation. The commentary specifically states on-ground storable pools include those that have inflatable walls. All electrical requirements for overhead lines for main utility comes from the National Electric Safety Code. That's what the electric department goes by. And then all electrical requirements for the pool or the home itself will come from the Michigan Residential Code and the National Electric Code, NFPA 70. For all pools that require a permit, they first must make an application for a permit with the Community Development Department. The application requires the applicant to submit a site plan with details on the location of the pool, the location of utility lines, location of all structures located on the property, and any other information that may be necessary to ensure compliance. There are many requirements as per the codes for pools, and there are 4 main items to gain approval. These 4 requirements are barriers, locations to utility lines, the location of electrical connections for the pump, and proximity to other structures on the property. Barriers are defined as a permanent fence, wall, building wall, or combination thereof that completely surrounds the pool. The term permanent means not being able to be removed, lifted, or relocated without the use of a tool. The purpose of the barrier is to provide significant restricted access and reliable latching devices on entry points to a pool or spa so that children cannot gain access unless an adult provides such access. A 48-inch above grade barrier is required for all above ground pools that require a permit. When determining barrier requirements, the height of the sidewall of the pool is very important. In the case that a pool has a sidewall that is 48 inches or more, the pool sidewall acts as the barrier and no other barrier is required. When the pool sidewall is less than 48 inches, another form of barrier is required. All of the requirements for barriers are from the International Pool and Spa Code. Details for barriers shall include the distance between openings, so the distance between spindles or spaces between, and the components that make up the barrier, such as slats in a fence or between horizontal supports that a child could use as a ladder to gain access by climbing over. If a wall of a dwelling unit provides direct access through a door or window that has a sill height of less than 48 inches, then they must have an alarm that produces an audible warning when the window, door, or screens are opened. These alarms have their own requirements for compliance. The same chapter also covers the requirements for gates and latches. Overhead utility lines make it difficult in many lots around the city for placement of pools. So all of the primary, secondary lines for the city electrical, overhead telephone, overhead cable, all of those have requirements. As part of the site plan, the applicant is to supply the distance from the pool's edge to the utility line. This distance ranges from 14 to 32.5 feet, depending on the type of utility line. We work with the city electric to verify and gain compliance with this requirement. The overhead electrical distance keeps the pool and people in the pool safe. And if someone is out cleaning the pool with a skimmer far enough away to eliminate them from hitting the overhead line and from people playing in the pool, not having any water splashing on the lines. The electrical requirement for a pool is another item that makes it difficult or cost prohibitive for the installation of a pool. The Michigan Residential Code states that the requirements for electrical to permanently installed or storable pools. The most common need for electric near the pool is for the pump. The code has different requirements for the location of electrical outlets near pools, but in most circumstances, they shall be no less than 6 feet and no more than 20 feet from the pool. Overhead electrical connections from a dwelling to an accessory structure is regulated by the National Electric Code. The last item are the zoning requirements that the city of Sturgis regulates. There are 2 requirements for setbacks in the zoning ordinance: the distance from the property line to the pool and the distance from other buildings on the property. The zoning ordinance also states a pool shall not be located in any required side yard setback or required front yard. The following is taken from Appendix A of the City Code of Ordinance, which states swimming pools are permitted as an accessory use to permitted principal use. This section also regulates the setback of swimming pools to be 6 feet from the property lines and the yard they can be permitted in. Section 1.1105 requires that swimming pools can be no closer than 10 feet to any other building on the same lot, with a few exceptions. Last year, during the amendment to the accessory structure ordinance, the Planning Commission discussed the location of pools to other buildings on the property, made the recommendation that it be 10 feet. The zoning regulations stated above in the City Code of Ordinance may be amended by the City Commission. So currently, pools must be located in a rear or side yard, can't be inside of a side yard setback, can't be in the front yard. They have to be, again, 10 feet from any other structures on the property. So basically, once somebody fills out the application process, submits a site plan to us, we'll set up a time, go out on site, go over everything with the customer or the citizen, make sure that they understand the compliance, and if they can't comply, we try to help them locate a place on their property if it's feasible, and go from there. So be happy to answer any questions on this and go over any of the details or to get you guys more information.
Okay, any questions from the commission? Andrew, do you see any hands or anything like that?
I do not see any hands raised, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you, sir. Good job. No questions. You did a good job, Will.
If at any time anybody has any questions, our goal is, compliance and safety for everyone around. So we don't want to jeopardize anybody. So we're looking out for everybody's interest.
Okay. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Oh, Mr. Mayor, looks like city manager has his hand raised.
Michael.
Yeah, I wanted to kind of talk a little bit about, how we handle this and how we try to get in front of it. So once you start understanding that there's some pretty intensive requirements, either from, the state's building code, which we're required to go by, and then the National Electric Code. This has been an issue for many years. And what happens is that we'll have, a resident that will go buy a pool from a local store, and they don't know the requirements. I think my memory, and correct me if I'm wrong, well, I think a lot of if you buy a pool, it'll say something maybe in small print that, oh yeah, you have to follow the code. But most people don't realize that there's all these regulations. So they go buy a pool, invest some money in it, and then they're trying to figure out what to do. So this is an annual item that we try to get in front of in late winter, spring, to try to educate people and make sure they understand that there are all of these different regulations, even for a portable or what seems like a temporary pool. Those are all specifically, defined in the code. And I know, other communities try to do that too. They try to not be in the situation where someone bought something and now they have to go try to sell it or get rid of it. So it's not a new issue, but I will say this, the regulations continue to be more complex for pools. I mean, most people know that, well, if you have a pool that's over or 48 inches, that can act as the barrier and that, as long as you have a removable ladder, you can get rid of it. But they I think have become much more specific about temporary pools and even some of the new electric requirements for pumps. And we've spent time even trying to work through those issues and talking with the state of Michigan, the electrical inspector, on what we can do, and those requirements are there, and we're supposed to go by them. So.
I know a lot of people think that by purchasing one of the pools that are blow up sides, they don't have to follow the requirements, and unfortunately those still have to follow the requirements if they meet those requirements of basically greater than 24 inches is the big one. So.
Okay, thank you. Any other questions or comments? If not, we will move along. Are there any visitors on our webcast tonight that have something to bring to the commission that is not on our agenda?
I'll check, Mr. Mayor. For those joining us via the Zoom meeting, if you would like to use the raise hand feature, that's often accessed by going, if you're on a PC, to the bottom of your screen. There should be a raise hand button. It's also available on your tablet. Please use that at this time to be recognized for public comment. I see no one interested in public comment, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you, Andrew. The next item on the agenda is the approval of the agenda. I will take a motion to approve the agenda. Turn your volume on, Skip.
Try now, Skip.
Okay, can you hear me now?
Yes.
Okay. Your Honor, I move for approval of tonight's agenda for July 22nd, 2020 as presented.
Support.
I have a motion to approve the agenda and support. Roll call, please.
Commissioner Wiki.
Yes.
Commissioner Burr.
Yes.
Commissioner Klinger. I think we've lost Commissioner Klinger for the moment. Commissioner Mullins.
Yes.
Commissioner Littman.
Yes.
Commissioner Malone.
Yes.
Vice Mayor Good.
Yes.
Mayor Heil.
Yes. Motion carries. I will also take approval of the consent agenda. A motion to approve the consent agenda, please.
Your Honor, I move next for approval of tonight's consent agenda, which includes A, building trades. No, that's not it. It's on now. It's on the next page. I'm not seeing the other stuff on here.
We had to purchase a property under the closed session, Skip.
Okay. I'm digging.
I think consent agenda as presented would be sufficient, Commissioner Littman.
Right. Motion for approval as consented.
Support.
Okay, I have a motion to approve the consent agenda and support. Roll call, please. Ken?
Commissioner Klinger.
Aye. Yes.
Commissioner Burr.
Yes.
Commissioner Wiki.
Yes.
Commissioner Littman.
Aye.
Vice Mayor Good.
Yes.
Commissioner Malone.
Yes.
Commissioner Mullins.
Yes.
Mayor Heil.
Yes. Motion carries. The next item is unfinished business. There is nothing under that, so we'll move down to the new business section. And the first item on that will be number A, or letter A, building trades. Will.
Thank you again. So I guess I'll give you a little backstory on this. I've been working with Walter Wheeler over the last year on, he's a Sturgis building trades teacher. I'm doing a couple of city properties. He did the Oaklawn Park Pavilion down there, or amphitheater. He had his students there last winter doing that project. Prior to him, we had them build a shed at the airport, and they've done a stage over there behind Wings, etc. And I've been talking with Mr. Wheeler on, what they'd like to do next. And he always talked about building a home, and we've, trying to figure out the right thing to do with some of these infill lots, and, trying to be something in the cost wise for not cost prohibitive for someone, but so we can get somebody in there to build on these lots, and where we've tore these houses down. And again, trying to put some houses back there for people to purchase. And again, worked with Wally and trying to figure out if that was something he'd be interested in doing. And he was interested. So I've reached out to Neighborhood Program and worked this with Monica and kind of put together a program that she's been working with Tommy Cameron over at the ISD. And we've had conversations with Art Ebert here at the Sturgis superintendent as well, to figure out how to work together and get this program moving and get the kids building houses and try to keep it here in Sturgis. And I think the goal here would be to just kind of identify a lot every year and look to have I think the city commission's support and, providing a lot for the program to move forward each year. And I think Monica put together the program, and she's been talking with Tommy, and I think we can get Monica to kind of go over the program a little more on her side.
Okay. Back in March, before everything had to shut down and all of the different restrictions and everything, we had come up with as Will said, an idea of how to work with the Sturgis building trades class. So SNP for several years, everybody has said, why don't you work with building trades? Well, as you know, we rehab houses, and it can be more difficult to completely rehab a house than it is to do new construction. And our biggest concern in working with any of the building trades classes was, hazards and hazard remediation, lead-based paint, asbestos, all the different things. And then all of the unknowns we run into on top of that when we're working on a house. We hit an unknown on every single house, and rehabs can take longer and be more complicated. So this just seemed to fit our goal of always wanting to work with building trades class and not fully appreciating the structure of the building trades class and how it's run through the ISD, the career technical career consortium. Will explained all of that to me. And we initially, on behalf of my board officers, I approached Art Ebert with a proposal, could Sturgis Public Schools consider working with SNP to do new construction? And again, the thought was to take these lots where we had taken down single family homes that were beyond rehab. And I know several of you commission members were in some of those homes before they came down. So you may remember some of these lots. So Superintendent Ebert passed it up on to Tommy Cameron at the ISD, and I think they like the idea. It kind of got sidetracked again with all the COVID restrictions. So now we're trying to get on track, because our thought was if the school and the ISD wanted to partner with us, we would like to have a foundation ready for them for this school year. But as Tommy will share, we don't know what that school year is going to look like. So something else that SNP wanted to do, if the Sturgis Public Schools and the ISD wanted to partner with us, is we're also very supportive of the trades. And I know all of you commissioners are too. We've had these talks before. And something else that came up is whenever you want a contractor right now, you can't find one. And so we want to support the trades in the community and help those students if they want that pathway to a trade as a career, whether it's carpentry, HVAC, electrical, whatever it is, to help support them for that career path. So one of the ways we thought of doing that is not only partnering with the school on new single family builds, but to set up a fund for the ISD or building trade classes use. And through that fund, they could access money if they need money for equipment, if they need something right now, or possibly, we don't know what that's going to look like as this moves forward, which I'm hoping it does, even to help students with the cost of testing and future schooling if they want to pursue a trade as a career. So in our proposal to the ISD and Sturgis schools, we would like to help create a non-endowed fund with a percentage of proceeds received from a sale on a project by project basis. I have passed this idea by the Sturgis Foundation, Lindsay Richardson at the foundation. They really liked it, and it could be set up as a non-endowed fund that you could have access to annual income. So that's not quite it in a nutshell, but that's the bones of the program. And then what we would like to do with the city is partner with the city, identifying those buildable vacant lots where we have taken down, blighted properties, and, do some infill in those neighborhoods with houses that meet the character of the neighborhood, that could be great starter homes that would have a full basement, a garage, and in the meantime, be promoting the building trades programs and students. And as part of that fund, again, I'm kind of going in circles, but as part of that fund, it would be something we could encourage the public to contribute to also. So I think I covered it all, didn't I, Will?
You did a great job.
Yeah.
I don't know if Mr. Cameron or Mr. Wheeler wants to kind of go over what they think of the program and if they have any comments to make.
Yeah, I'll step in and, on behalf of the CTE Consortium, we would be very excited about these kind of partnerships. We do have a partnership with Habitat for Humanity, and it's been a very successful one for both parties. But we need to grow, like Will was saying, we need to grow building trades in this community. We need to have more skilled tradesmen, not just home builders, but like Monica was saying, we need electricians, we need plumbers, we need HVAC specialists. We are looking at expanding this program. We had some really nice numbers enrolled for this August, depending on how we open up, of course. We've asked Wally to really expand the teaching of this program too. It's not just building a house now, it's teaching all these skills at the same time. And what we do in our class even comes with college credit from Southwestern Michigan College. So it's something that I think would fit very well with the ISD's program. I know Wally is super excited about this, and I know he's going to build a great home. But we also have our issues to look at also, and our issues include two things. First of all, the CTE Consortium is run by the local superintendents and local school boards. So the superintendents have to give it their approval. They will be meeting next week. It is on their agenda to approve this. The other thing is that as a school entity, we have a lot of issues that have to do legal issues. And so we've been running this by our lawyer, and believe it or not, they've been very busy at the law offices with all these different school executive orders coming down for us. But I know our lawyer started working on it last week, and I asked for to have something by next week if possible. So hopefully we'll get the sign off from the lawyer. We'll get the local superintendents to approve it. I know Mr. Ebert is extremely behind this also. He's very supportive. He's very supportive of growing CTE in the county.
Wheeler, do you have anything to add here?
I'm just excited about this situation that we're in, and I hope we can get moving forward soon, because I got a lot of work to do to get this place ready to go by the beginning of school year.
All right. Will, any more comments from you before I open it up for commissioners to ask questions or make comments?
Nope, I don't think so. Thank you.
Monica, any more from you?
I think we've just had some basic discussions detailing the different lots that are available after the blight elimination grant was completed. Just to reiterate that those are the ones we would be interested in.
All right, thank you. Again, I can't see if a commissioner has a question. Andrew, can you tell me?
Commissioner Klinger, Commissioner Good, and then Commissioner Burr.
Okay, Commissioner Klinger.
First off, if you guys could only see the grin on my face, this is so elating. This makes me so happy to see. And it's just, it's something I constantly promote. I am constantly in and out of this structure in the contracting. It's just something I do myself. I enjoy this. I did have a question though. I saw that the lot that we were looking at to start with was 126 South Maple. That's at the end of the street there from the Vice Mayor, correct? Is that the one that was considered at another point for another project, or in question for another project that we had talked about? If that's the one I'm thinking of.
That is correct.
Didn't we, I mean, have we found a way to make a conforming structure? Because I know that we had said something before about how it was kind of the shape of the lot and made that a difficult build.
The house, the property at 126 South Maple's it's a conforming lot. It's a large lot. We have some other small ones, but I think we can make any lot conforming or find a house to fit on them.
Okay, that's good to hear. That's what I want to hear, is just our flexibility is an option too. That was really my only question. Yeah, again, I'm just, thank you again, Walter, and thank you again, Thomas, everything that you guys are doing. More to come, I hope. I really do.
Thanks for your support.
No, go ahead. Go ahead, Mr. Cameron.
I was just saying thank you for your support.
All right. Thank you, Commissioner Klinger. Vice Mayor Good, I believe you are the next one.
Well, I just want to add to Commissioner Klinger's support for this program. I believe it's a really important thing for the community at large. I think that everyone will benefit. One question I would have would probably be directed to Monica, perhaps, for the ability to have private individuals or corporations contribute to the program. Will this be established as a 501c3 tax exempt program, wherein the contributor would benefit for the taxes for the contributions?
Well, as I just had said, I talked to Lindsay Richardson, the executive director at the foundation. It would be established as a fund through the foundation, so I think it would have those same guidelines as the other funds there.
Okay. Additionally, if the program is authorized by the superintendent's group and the attorneys have agreed that it's a viable project, even though we're uncertain about the beginning of the school year, would it be advantageous to do the basement, the foundation, regardless of whether or not the school year is going to start, in that it takes a curing time if you're going to pour it? If you're going to use superior walls, then the curing time isn't an issue, but is that a potential? Maybe that question could be to Wally or Tom.
I know the situation is a little weird right now. I understand that. I've already done some thought process. I talked to Will and I said, we'll get that house so it's watertight. If things get shut down, I will get it watertight.
So you're expecting that we will put in a foundation and a basement?
I would like to have the foundation in and basement in by the time school starts. I know it's pushing it right now, but that was my goal.
Now, is the CAD/CAM class or any other high school class going to be involved in design, or would you, at least for this first project, because of the time constraints, be picking a pre-printed blueprint?
We'll do eventually. I'd love for the CAD department to design everything. I had this big vision where I wanted the wood shop to build the cabinets, and I wanted the CAD people to do the plans, you know, so it was all student based. But I'm not sure we're going to be able to get to that this year for sure. This year, we're probably going to pick a plan and go with it.
Okay. That's all I have, Mr. Mayor. Thank you.
Thank you, Vice Mayor. And Andrew, was it Commissioner Wiki had a question?
Commissioner Burr and then Commissioner Mullins now.
Okay, Commissioner Burr, I'm sorry. Commissioner Burr.
Yeah, I think it's great that get the program back up and running in the city. One of my questions is this house going to be pre-sold, or are we going to build it and then hope someone buys it?
Should I answer that?
Go ahead.
Yes, ma'am.
I think, Will, do you have an opinion on that?
I think the goal was to build it and then sell it. Correct, Monica? That's your goal.
Yeah, and I believe Commissioner Burr, in the current market, I wouldn't think if the market stays where it is that we would have any trouble not having it pre-sold. A lot of houses, and maybe Vice Mayor Good can confirm this as an appraiser, they are pending the day that they are listed, especially entry-level houses for first-time buyers or smaller houses for people sizing, you know, downsizing. If you go out and you look at the listings right now in our zip code, there just isn't anything out there for those buyers. And once there is, it is gone that same day.
Right. Well, I know a lot of that is location. There again, you know, for decades, we've had properties out in sub 2 and didn't have a building trade to go out there and build houses out there. I think there's still some lots out there, Andrew.
Yes, there are. Still have a handful of lots and a few more coming back potentially here in the next little bit. So,
yeah, I just kind of wonder if something might sell faster out there. There again, I think it'd be great to take and fill these empty lots with houses that people would buy. Depending on, like you say, lot size, location. Do you have an average cost that you're estimating that these are going to be built for?
Well, I think it's just going to depend on the size of the house. Each lot's going to accommodate a different size square footage house. And again, Vice Mayor Good, as an appraiser, if you want to chime in here, I would think we'd be looking at something maybe in 125 to 135 and I would say that would be the midpoint, and talking maybe a 12 to 1400 square foot house with a garage, with a full basement. And, you know, with the amenities that SNP always includes, including all new appliances. So somebody gets right off to a good start.
Yeah, I'll chime in, Monica. Thank you. With regard to the difference between sub 2 and Congress Maple Corner, the sub 2 has a square footage requirement that would be somewhat beyond the more affordable range that SNP is hoping to do. In addition to that, obviously the cost of the lot is minimal based on the proposal that we saw from SNP. And as far as marketability is concerned, I believe that the marketability for Congress and Maples Corner is very reasonable to expect a sale there. The neighborhood is not necessarily depressed. I sure hope it doesn't get depressed any further. I've got an investment here too. So anyway, but I do think the marketability is strong enough there to support the project. But obviously, if the program gets going and sub 2 is still there, there's no reason we can't look at that also. But I think that we saw the decline of the program occur as it continued with the large builds out there in the subdivision on the north end of town. So perhaps it might be better as a restart to come into this more 1,400 square feet, a smaller lot, and of course the cost factor and the sale prices. I think if they can do the 135, 140 even, I think that's supportable on that lot.
Okay, my final question too is we still, the consortium still needs some of the other superintendents to chime in on this, to agree to all this too?
That'd probably be for Tommy.
Right.
Yes, we would need the superintendent's approval of it. I may not anticipate anything, but I don't want to speak for the superintendents out of turn. We certainly want to give them a chance to discuss it, make sure they have all the details also before we move on. Again, I think everyone will see this as a win-win situation for all, but we also want to make sure it's got a lot of lugs underneath it and a good foundation so that it lasts a long time.
Right, and how many superintendents are involved in this?
We have 8. There's actually 9 superintendents in the county. 8 of them are part of the CTE consortium, since Nottawa actually only goes to 8th grade. They're not really part of the consortium. So the eight will vote on it.
Okay, thank you very much.
Thank you, Commissioner Burr. Commissioner Mullins.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I'm just going to echo the comments of Commissioners Klinger, Good, and Burr, that this is something that I think that we're all, it's long overdue. We've all been wanting something like this to come back to the community. And I want to applaud the ISD, the Sturgis Public Schools, Sturgis Neighborhood Program, and the City of Sturgis for all kind of collaborating in this. And whoever started the conversation, kudos to you. I've had lots of conversations with Mr. Wheeler about this stuff. He's pretty excited about doing this kind of thing. He loves it, loves his job and teaching the kids and teaching the kids how to do things right. And I think that it's going to be a very, very good thing for our community. I don't have any questions other than the fact that I don't know that everything had been covered in this to where I might be able to make a motion, or if there's more that needs to be said about the purchase property, closing costs, that kind of stuff.
Does anybody want to make a comment on the purchase price and the cost, the question that Mr. Mullins had? Closing cost. How's that going to work, Michael?
Yeah, I mean, what we're proposing and what we've discussed as part of being kind of a contributor and partner in this project is to essentially sell the property for $1 and then cover the closing costs. So, you know, I think that the ROI from having a structure built and generating property tax will more than cover that over time. And this way, I mean, I think minimizing risk both for, you know, SMPs. And I think the important thing to remember is, I mean, building trades, you know, having at least some free labor brings down that price so that you can get a price point in those neighborhoods that is sellable. But that's what we've discussed and what we're proposing to the City Commission.
And the closing cost is not to exceed $1,500, right, Michael?
Right. And I mean, Roger probably can speak better to this, but I think 1,500 is pretty high. So I expect it probably will be less than that.
I would be very surprised if it went more than $800 to $1,000 at most.
Mm-hmm.
I think the title work was the most cost, as Monica could express how much that is.
Yeah, we'd have to check. That's true. We have had some title issues with some of the properties we received from the county through foreclosure, and 126 was county acquired property.
Okay. Any other comments from any of the other commissioners?
Mayor Heil, Commissioner Mullins has his hand raised again.
Okay. Commissioner Mullins.
Well, I was just going to make the motion then that I move that the Sturgis City Commission approve sale of 26 South Maple Street to the Sturgis Neighborhood Program for $1 and cover closing costs at an amount not to exceed $1,500 and authorize City Manager Mike Hughes to sign all necessary documents.
I'll support that.
Okay.
Mr. Mayor, before we go into roll call vote.
I have a motion to approve it and support. Before we vote on it, I'd like to ask if there's anybody in our audience that has comment. Andrew.
Sorry to jump ahead of you, Mr. Mayor. Anybody who has public comment? Anybody who has public comment, please use the raise hand feature at this time so we can recognize you. I see none, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you, Andrew. Again, we have a motion to approve and support. Roll call, please.
Commissioner Littman. I think that was an aye, Skip. Okay.
Try again,
Commissioner Wiki.
Yes.
Commissioner Malone.
Yes.
Commissioner Burr.
Yes.
Vice Mayor Good.
Yes.
Commissioner Mullins.
Yes.
Commissioner Klinger.
Yes, absolutely.
Mayor Heil.
And I do overwhelmingly say yes also. Great program. Looking forward to see it go. Thank you. Motion carries. The next item on our agenda is to set budget public hearing. Michael.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Obviously, we're going through our budget adoption process. The state of Michigan, through the General Property Tax Act, requires that the City Commission hold a public hearing before they consider final adoption of the operating budget. We also have a charter provision that requires that the annual budget is adopted before August 20th. And so each year, although we're not required to actually take formal action to set a public hearing, that's been the tradition. It's really just a signal to let people know that budget adoption is coming. So we are recommending that you set a public hearing for the fiscal year 2020-21 budget at your regular City Commission meeting, 6 o'clock on August 12th.
Okay. Any comments or questions for Michael? Do you see any hands raised, Andrew?
I do not, Mr. Mayor.
Seeing no hands from the commission, are there any comments from the audience?
Once again, for members attending in the Zoom meeting, if you would like to use the raise your hand feature, if you wish to make public comment at this time. I see none, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you, sir. I will accept a motion for this, the budget hearing, setting the public hearing. I'll accept a motion, please.
Your Honor, Rick Burr, I move that the Sturgis City Commission set a public hearing for consideration of the city's 2020-2021 budget during the regular City Commission meeting at 6 p.m. on August 12th, 2020.
Second that.
Okay, we have a motion to approve and support. Mr. Rhodes.
Commissioner Burr.
Yes.
Commissioner Malone.
Yes.
Commissioner Klinger.
Yes.
Commissioner Mullins.
Yes.
Commissioner Littman.
Yes.
Commissioner Wiki.
Yes.
Vice Mayor Good.
Yes.
Mayor Heil.
Yes. Motion carries. Thank you all. And last item on our new business section is the WWPT Chemical Building Electrical Room Addition. Tom.
Evening, Mayor, Commissioners. Included in the packet this evening is for your consideration is the treatment plant to do some electrical upgrades in the chemical control building, which is on our replacement schedule for fiscal year 2020. Our amp back in 2015 scored this area in very poor condition and recommended replacing and relocating to a new structure. So the project includes an addition of a 190 square foot electrical room that's adjacent to the existing building. And some of that major work includes relocating overhead electrical, installing a new transformer, moving an old transformer, pouring concrete foundation and pad, building a masonry wall, covering it with pre-siding or pre-finished metal siding to match the existing structure, electrical and instrumentation and controls. So bid specification was advertised back on June 10th, and there was several subcontractors visited, and 2 bids were received. We did a public bid opening on June 29th at City Hall. So a copy of the bid tabulation is included in your packet, with the low bidder being Brussy Brady, being the general contractor out of Three Rivers. So with the bid and both alternatives, we're looking at a cost of $206,000, $700. I'm also requesting a 30% contingency of $62,010, which typically would only do 5%, but I have been out for 24 years, and any we've been doing any evading, there is many unforeseen once we start doing innovation. So, and original, that's why I've increased it to a contingency of 30%. And our original capital improvement budget is $280,000. And we're at $262,008 and some change. And I'd be happy to entertain any questions.
Okay, the question I would like to ask, Tom, Brussy and Brady Inc., has the city done any business with them, or what's their standing as a company?
We've not done any, Brussy Brady's not done any work for us at the treatment plant. Having made contact with other projects that they had submitted, there was a mixed review, but with the project manager that has been assigned to this project, everyone that I've talked to seemed they would do well.
Feel comfortable with them?
Yes.
Okay, thank you, sir. Andrew, again, are there any commissioners with hands raised?
Vice Mayor Good has his hand raised.
Vice Mayor Good.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Isn't Brussy Brady the group that's building the sports complex in Three Rivers? Aren't they involved in that?
They are, Vice Mayor.
And that's, is that where the mixed reviews come in?
Yes, Vice Mayor. And they've done some work over in Barry and Risa, and the superintendent was very pleased with them. They were doing a 3-phase project over there, and Brussy had done 2 of the 3, and they were disappointed that they didn't get the project this year.
Mr. Mayor, the city manager does have his hand raised.
Michael.
You mentioned there was a project manager being assigned, and this is an electrical component with construction added, right? And so this project manager has familiarity with the electrical aspect. Is that his greatest contribution?
Brussy, so the contract is got a list of subcontractors from excavators, concrete, mason, metal siding. So we're using Brussy to coordinate, use as a coordinator. The biggest part of the project is the electrical and high tech. Brusty had submitted or is going to use High Tech Electric.
High Tech.
High Tech did the Headworks project in 2014.
Yeah, High Tech has a good reputation, I believe. So I think he'll get a decent job out of that.
Yeah.
That's all I have, Mr. Mayor. Thank you.
Thank you, John. Michael?
So Brusty Brady did the expansion, and I think there was also expansion and renovation of the pool project a number of years ago. And I know that they were pretty happy about their work there. You may remember that when we originally bid out the softball complex, Brusty Brady was one of the bidders. We actually, I recall doing reference checks. Now it's been a few years, but we did reference checks at the time, and they came back good. In fact, we thought about maybe trying to work with Brusty Brady on the concession building, and then another contract, I believe it was Parrish, who was doing Geraldine. We were going to work with them and have kind of a hybrid contract. We decided not to do that, I think, for good reason. But my recollection is that they had pretty good reference. Their specialty is buildings, building buildings. And as someone said, High Tech, I think, does have a very good reputation.
Thank you, Michael. Any other hands, Andrew?
Yeah, Mr. Mayor, Commissioner Burr has his hand raised.
Commissioner Burr.
Yeah, Tom, and you were talking, I don't know if everyone else's, but mine was kind of breaking up and I didn't hear. It says that there's some unknown subsurface factors that you were explaining about.
Correct. So we're gonna put a building that potentially has previous utilities underneath of it. So I'm using 1986, 1970, 1984, 1996 as-built. So we're not sure how the pipes and structures were abandoned underneath the existing transformer. And then we also we may have to relocate some chemical lines. And then one of my biggest concerns is we're relocating the electrical from over to a blower building, which is across the paved surface. So once we open that up, I have an idea where everything's at. So there's not the area itself, the building itself is going to be the easy part, but when we open things up, there's going to be unknowns. And
right, you don't have the underground map system, huh?
Well, they didn't prepare the as-built back in that day very well, so.
All right, okay. Thanks for the explanation.
You're welcome.
Thank you, Commissioner. Any other hands up from the commission? Andrew?
I see none, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you. Are there any hands up or questions from our audience?
Yeah, so once again, for the audience members, if you'd like to use the raise your hand feature, if you have public comment, you can do so at this time. I see none from the audience, but I see that Commissioner Mullins has raised his hand.
Thank you. Commissioner Mullins.
Thank you, Andrew. The building that we're talking about, is that not the main building where all of the controls and everything are handled there? The main building there?
No. So each building has its own mechanical or electrical. So the chemical building has its own MCC, and we're running all the equipment in that location from there. And Basically, it's in an atmosphere that's corrosive, wet, and there's no additional real estate to put a new MCC panel within the existing building. So that's why we've proposed to do an addition, which is going to be temperature controlled and out of the atmosphere, and will be sustainable to add. If expansion comes, we could, in that area, electrical can be added, and it'll just be a sustainable operations for the treatment plant.
All right. Hey, thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Thank you, Mr. Mullins. Any other questions or comments? And Andrew's not telling me any more. So I will take a motion on this item.
Your Honor, this is Commissioner Burr. I move that the Sturgis City Commission approve the bid from Brussy Brady Inc. for the wastewater treatment plant chemical control electrical room addition in the amount of $206,700 and approve a 30% project contingency in the amount of $62,010 as presented.
Second.
I've got a motion by Mr. Burr, seconded by Commissioner Malone. Mr. Rhodes.
Okay, Commissioner Littman.
Aye.
Commissioner Mullins.
Yes.
Vice Mayor Good.
Yes.
Commissioner Burr.
Yes.
Commissioner Malone.
Yes.
Commissioner Klinger. Okay, I'll give it a second. Commissioner Wiki.
Yes.
Mayor Heil.
Yes.
Okay.
Motion carries because we just lost Commissioner Klinger. All right, thank you all for that. Thank you, Tom, for your work. We are now to the Commissioner staff comments. We will start down here. Andrew, you must go first, and I want to thank you again for what you do here. You do a great job.
No problem. Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I do have one comment for you guys tonight. Wanted to give you an update on the Moso Village project. As you'll recall, last year, we'd entered into an agreement with them. It was an amendment to forbearance agreement, which we had agreed to with them the previous year. It allowed for us to directly pay some of the tax capture money, which is part of their brownfield, to contractors that were finishing work on the project. There were a number of milestones and deadlines that were required in order for us to, for them to meet that amendment to the agreement. One was to provide us an update on the project, which they were scheduled to do by January 1. We got that update a little bit late, I would say the middle of January. Another was to complete heating and window work in the building, and then provide us a timeline and costs for finishing out remainder of the building. The update discussed the fact that heaters were installed in the building along with some electrical. It talked about glass installation. Part of that glass installation has been held up pending the build out of the corner of the building by Southern Michigan Bank and Trust. At the time, they were expecting to submit plans for that space in short order. Southern Michigan Bank, that is. That, of course, has been delayed a little bit by COVID-19, and I'll get into that in a moment. They did provide us with information on concrete that they got a quote and would be doing that work in October 1st, in October of this year, if no other tenants were set up for the building. And then they were in the process of getting drywall quotes to address those issues. And those were all issues identified by the building department. Part of what we're requiring for payback, and they now have invoices for heating work, HVAC work that was done in the building, and then also some small electric work that was completed in the building. We would be paying those things directly to the contractor at 90%. We were waiting on getting formal verification from the state that those issues have been permitted and inspected. That's been completed here recently. We just got word that had been done. So want to move forward and hopefully cut those checks to those contractors. But did want to give you this update, kind of where we were in the process. Right now, there is certified expenses by the BRA that are able to be reimbursed. There were $263,000 roughly that were approved by the BRA. If you recall, Moso Village is entitled to the first $275,000 of tax capture on the project. So they don't quite have certified reimbursable expenses to that level, but they do have very close to that. We've already paid out one invoice of $141,575. After paying the two invoices that are on the table currently, they would be owed $46,139.84 of reimbursable eligible expenses. They would have a little bit more than that, roughly $57,775 to that first 275. And I know that's a lot of numbers and kind of confusing as to how they all fit together, but right now they are eligible to receive another $46,139.84 after we would pay these two contractor bills. That's a lot. I'm happy to answer any questions anybody might have on this issue, but did want to make you aware of kind of the situation and what our proposed action would be.
Questions for you, Andrew? Do you see anybody raising their hand?
I don't see anybody raising their hands at this point.
You must have did a good job explaining. Thank you.
All right, thank you.
Will, anything to add?
Nothing tonight, thank you.
Thank you, sir. Tom? Anything to add?
Nothing more tonight, Your Honor.
Thank you. Mr. Rhodes?
The deadline for getting on the ballot for the November 3rd City Commission election has passed. Vice Mayor Gooden as the at-large position, Mayor Heil is 4th precinct, and Commissioner Burr in the 1st precinct will all be on the ballot. Those are the only 3 petitions that were submitted. So any other candidates would be as a write-in, which the date for that is October 23rd, I should say, Friday, October 23rd. And Mike Stiles, if you're listening, when you emailed, asked me about that, I was a little confused and gave you the seats that were up. And so Commissioner Klinger at this point is not chosen to run, and at least his name won't be on the ballot. So that was a little bit of a mix-up in our communication. So that's all. Sorry about that. That's all.
Thank you, sir. Holly?
Nothing tonight. Thank you.
Thank you. Jeff, Public Safety Director?
Nothing tonight. Thank you, Your Honor.
Thank you. And Ryan? Anything you would like to add?
Who?
Ryan? Deputy.
I don't see him.
Nothing tonight. Thank you, Your Honor.
All right. And Michael?
Thank you, Your Honor.
No.
All right, 2 quick things. The DDA is putting on a drive-in movie at the high school on July 24th, which I believe is this Friday. Originally, they had been given a grant from the foundation to do a movie downtown. With everything going on, and decided to convert it into it's kind of a different format, but still put it on. So I believe the auditorium is going to be doing some concessions out there, bring up with the DDA to host this for the community. We have our styrofoam recycling scheduled for August 1st. I need volunteers. I'm certain that Commissioner Klinger will be there, but and Vice Mayor Gooden, probably his wife. But any help we can get would be fabulous. It's from 9 to noon out at the PSUB building on North Centerville Road. That's all I have.
Thank you, sir. And I almost forgot Roger. Roger, do you have any comments?
No comment, nothing to add, but thank you for the opportunity, Mayor.
Thank you, sir. Let's see here. Let's start with our commissioners. Commissioner Burr.
Yes, I would like to see City Hall open up fully from 9 to 5 days a week. I think that considering that the candidates for the commission seats going out into the public and personally being in contact with at least 50 people. Most of those were not wearing masks. I did wear a mask and have sanitizer to wipe off my pen and clipboard. However, I think that it's time that we open up. The supermarkets are open up. All the stores open up. I think City Hall can open up now safely, especially since everyone's required to be wearing masks as they enter. And in that vein, I'd like to put forth a motion that City Hall does open up on Tuesdays.
Hey, Michael.
So when we closed on Tuesdays, we eliminated 2 full-time positions. I think we need the opportunity to figure out if we can staff it properly, because that was part of why we closed, is that there were 2 positions that were retiring. So we need at least a moment to figure out if how we're going to do that, unless we're going to hire 2 more people.
Commissioner Burr, if I might step in here just for a second, if you'd be willing to amend your motion, direct the city manager to open the City Hall 5 days a week, and that be accomplished by August 15th, that would give him the opportunity to create that ability to have the City Hall open.
Or maybe we could come with a plan on the 12th.
No, I don't agree with that. I think that we've been closed on Tuesday long enough. I think if we work at the speed of government and we wait for a plan to come to us on August the 12th, it'll be yet another month before it would happen. I think that I agree with Commissioner Burr. I had the same conversations with people that signed my petition. I think that City Hall needs to be open 5 days a week. I think everyone here knows how I feel about it. I've made enough jabs, and I agree with Commissioner Burr. It's time to take a full swing at this. And we have a motion and support, and if Commissioner Burr is willing to amend that motion to give the manager until the 15th of August to complete that, I believe that's the way we ought to leave it.
Commissioner Burr, are you willing to amend your motion?
Yes, I will amend that motion to begin August 15th to open up City Hall on Tuesdays.
For 5 days a week.
5 days a week.
5 days. Yeah, not just Tuesdays.
Right. John, are you seconding that motion?
Well, I thought I heard Travis second it. Travis, is that correct?
What? I have yet to say anything.
Did you second Commissioner Burr's motion?
I did not, although
Okay.
I echo your guys' concern of being open 5 days a week. I will second that motion.
All right.
Okay.
I have a motion to, Mr. Rhodes, would you read this motion, please?
What I have is to open City Hall 5 days a week, 9 to 5 by August 15th.
All right, and motion was by Mr. Burr and seconded by Mr. Klinger.
Mr. Mayor, we do have a question or comment from Commissioner Mullins.
All right, yes, Commissioner Mullins.
Thank you, Andrew. Mr. Mayor, I don't know where the 15th date comes from. That actually is a Saturday. I don't know if that makes any kind of difference or not.
It's what?
The Saturday?
August 15th falls on a Saturday. I don't know if we're talking about trying to have it open by the 17th. Is that what the deal is, or is that what we're asking for? Is that what Commissioner Burr or Commissioner Vice Mayor Good had amended to?
Yeah.
Well, the 15th date is merely a date for the manager to have the program prepared. It doesn't mean that he has to be open on the 15th.
Okay, well, he was asking for having by the 12th. Would that not still be okay to do at the commission meeting, to possibly open the following week with whatever guidelines he has? Is that not what we want to do?
What the manager said was he wanted to come back with a proposal to us on our meeting of the 12th. And my argument was that we don't need to wait for a proposal. We just need to get the job done.
Okay. Well, I just noticed that the 15th was Saturday. And I didn't know if that had any, you were meaning to be for like a Monday week starting to be open. I didn't know where that fell. So
I can change it. I can change the motion to the 17th.
Hey, hold on just a second, because Mr. Lippman is waving his hand.
He's trying to fly.
Commissioner Lippman?
Yeah, I got a question on this. What's city staff how do they feel about opening this? I mean, are we putting out a mandate here or what?
Oh, Commissioner Lippman, I'll respond to that. The city commission is charged with setting policy for the community and for the city. Our job is to set policy. And the policy is that we would be open 5 days a week. To ask staff whether or not they agree with our indication of what policy should be seems to be counterproductive.
I'm not talking about counterproductive. I'm talking about two people short that they informed us. So they're not just going to drop out of the sky. Are these two positions that are going to have to be filled in order to do that?
Well, I think the manager has to make provisions to provide for the city hall to be open 5 days a week. Whether or not he has to create 2 new positions or not, I don't see that that's going to be a necessity. They're open 4 days a week with the staff that they have. They ought to be able to open 5 days a week.
But if I could, when we went to close on Tuesdays, we did that because we reduced 2 full-time people in that office. And then Tuesday gave the opportunity for other staff to take on those responsibilities. And I'm not saying we can't do it. I'd love if you could be able to think about it, but the fact of the matter is when we were open on Tuesdays, we had 2 additional full-time people we don't have.
Michael, you're breaking up.
I couldn't hear it.
Okay, I'm sorry about that. What I was saying is that when we made the decision to close on Tuesdays, it was because we reduced 2 full-time people in that office. And then the other employees took on those responsibilities and they were completing those on Tuesdays. So if we open up on Tuesdays, it will have an impact on us. That doesn't mean we couldn't figure it out or we wouldn't follow direction from the commission. But the reality is that we reduced 2 full-time people when we closed on Tuesdays. That was a different time when we were facing some pretty serious financial challenges. A lot of cities, what they did is they furloughed and they closed down on Fridays. This is a long story, but we took a different approach. We looked at the amount of traffic that would come in on Tuesdays. It was the lowest traffic day. We had 2 pending retirements and we just used it as an opportunity to not fill those positions through attrition to be able to survive financially. So I would expect that if we're gonna be open on Tuesday, we'll have to figure out how to address that from a staff capacity standpoint. And I wouldn't even tell you right now if that means we have to hire 2 full-time people. This is something that we would have to review.
Okay.
Well,
Mr.
according to
Mayor.
the motion, you have till 17th to figure that out.
The motion hasn't passed yet.
Mr. Mayor, Commissioner Wiki has his hand raised.
Mr. Wiki.
Two concerns or questions that I would have is, well, number one, the budget. How are we going to do on budget by hiring a couple employees or one full-time, whatever? And then also, is there time to properly train an employee by the 17th to where they could be proficient at their jobs and serve the community well?
Michael, do you want to take that one?
Well, there's nothing programmed or budgeted for two additional people. You know, we are going through quite a few staffing changes in that area. We had a part-time person who left. We also have a full-time person who just retired. And so we really needed to take a new look at it. And again, I don't want to say that we have to hire 2 full-time people, but when we did close on Tuesday, that was part of why we did it, because we didn't fill 2 full-time positions, and that enabled us to be able to do that. So we can certainly open by the 17th. That doesn't mean it's going to work well. We'll do the best we can, and if indeed we need additionals, I mean, I wouldn't be able to hire someone and have them trained by August 17th. And I don't even have the approval from the commission to hire somebody. So I would have to come back to you and get approval for that.
Okay. Thank you, Michael. Thank you. Mr. Wiki, did that answer your question?
Mr. Mayor, Commissioner Burr has his hand raised.
Okay. Commissioner Burr.
Well, I know now you've got personnel from the Doyle and from the auditorium working over there. I know you've had a couple people retire. One, I think, suddenly. The other one you knew about was going to retire for quite a while in the electric department. And yet we didn't look to fill that yet. We probably should have had that filled. Do you know how many positions in the city are open right now for employment, for jobs?
I mean, right off the top of my head, I'm going to say probably 3. We're moving people around, with some of the vacancies that have been, made through people either retiring, a couple of people retiring. We've taken it as an opportunity for those that were laid off to bring them back. And that's actually working pretty well. Long term, it may not look like that because, those employees are working in other departments. So certainly we might be able to make some short-term accommodations, but long-term, we've got to sort through that. And if the interest from the commission is to open on Tuesdays, I absolutely think we can figure that out. I don't have it figured out right now.
Well, they don't have to be full-time positions either. I know that one of them was not a full-time. She was a retiree that came back, and you could probably fill them with maybe a 30-hour a week person and not have to pay the benefits. But I always understood is that the reason why you closed down Tuesdays was to do training. And that's what I had heard for many years.
There were 2 employees, Sharon Hudson and Vivian Van Nest. And Vivian did come back and work part-time. She was invaluable. But yeah, those were the 2 positions that retired. Yes, it gives us the opportunity to also do some training of employees, but that wasn't the primary reason. The primary driver was we had a lot of financial issues then, and we were trying to figure out how to survive. So almost any time we had a person retire, we were looking at whether we need to fill that position.
Okay, I'd never heard that. believe it or not.
You never heard that we didn't fill those 2 positions?
The only thing I ever heard was that you closed for training. That's, there
Yeah.
again, I've heard it from employee after employee, so that's what I heard. So anyway, I have no further comment.
All right, thank you, sir. Commissioner Littman.
Since my title is just Commissioner, not Human Resources, I'd like to see us, if it's going to require hiring additional personnel or additional staffing to do that on Tuesdays, why not get together with the city manager and see if that's doable before we make a decision to mandate it? Like I said, I'm not a human resource director. I'm a city commissioner trying to work both sides here, the taxpayer and the city.
Vice Mayor Good has his hand raised, Mr. Mayor.
Vice Mayor?
Yes, first of all, I'd like to ask the question as to what year did we decide that Tuesdays we were not open? If they can't give me an exact year, I believe the financial crisis occurred in 2008 or 2009. And so if the decision was made in 2009, we've been closed on Tuesdays for 11 years. During that 11 years, it was never thought to look for and or replace the 2 people that retired. I don't understand that, but nonetheless, I think the critical issue here is that the taxpayers and the ratepayers deserve to have accessibility to the city hall for a complete week. And since that 11 years have passed, the economic conditions have changed. In fact, they've changed to the point where the city has advertised for an assistant engineer. The city has advertised for other positions beyond that. And so the matter of whether or not we're still in a financial distress position seems to be moot. I believe that, like I said, the critical issue is that the community, the city, the taxpayers, and the ratepayers deserve to have a city hall that is open 5 days a week. And so I'm in full support of Commissioner Burr's motion. And I know that I can't call for the question, but I'd sure like to see what the position of the commission is with regard to this issue.
Mr. Mayor, Commissioner Wiki has his hand raised.
Mr. Wiki.
Just want to appeal to Commissioner Burr that we be at least reasonable with the timing to be able to hire and then train somebody to where they're proficient at their job and not making our city look ridiculous when somebody goes into City Hall. To make it at least a month time from now, just so we can be reasonable about this. That's it.
Thank you, sir.
Vice Mayor Good has his hand raised, Mr. Mayor.
Vice Mayor Good.
Yes, thank you, Mr. Mayor. In response to Commissioner Wiki's comment, the manager has already indicated he's not even certain he would have to hire someone new. And so, Commissioner Wiki, you're making the assumption that an individual would need to be hired and trained, wherein that's not necessarily the case. And so if City Hall were to open on the 17th, then it would be determined that another individual may be necessary. There might be a little overtime, but I don't think the city would be embarrassed by the operation of the City Hall, because I don't think our dedicated staff would allow that embarrassment to occur. I think our staff is dedicated to serving the public. They've indicated that they are, and I believe that they can do that 5 days a week.
Thank you, John. Commissioner, do you have any more comments? Donna? No? Okay. Andrew, any more hands raised?
No, Mr. Mayor, thank you.
Okay, we have a motion on the floor here in a second. Mr. Rhodes has read it to open City Hall back up by the 17th, I believe is what it is. Roll call, please.
Excuse me, Mr. Mayor. Commissioner Klinger has raised his hand.
Mr. Klinger, please.
He's also muted.
Yeah, he's muted. Yeah, turn your
Fix
mic.
that. Fix that. There you go. I'm just looking at my calendar here. 1, 2, 3. You know, I'm nearly in. I'm in agreement with Justin that we need to have this happen in a way that is feasible for staff to create some sort of strategy. I don't want to say, I want to say 3 weeks is enough, but that's me being hopeful. Things do move slower with lots going on. I honestly can't agree that it should be by the 17th, but maybe what are we on, the 22nd right now? By the 24th, I appreciate one whole 30-day span. That sounds just fine. 1 month is a great number for me. I like a whole month. I like a month's notice. People like a month's notice when they leave, you know.
Well, Travis, you're the supporter to the motion. You should ask the motion maker.
Well, Rick Burr, would you support amending your motion to the 24th instead of the 17th?
I don't think 1 week is going to make or break it, but if we can all agree that 30 days is a reasonable time, I will move that motion to the 24th.
And I do believe Travis.
I support that.
Okay, so now I have an amended motion to open on the 24th. Correct, Mr. Rhodes?
Yes, and I just wanted to make sure that this item wasn't on the agenda, so I think we have a higher threshold for voting.
Okay.
I just want to check that. Mike, does that ring a bell to you?
It does now, but I think that's the majority.
Yeah, hold on, I got it.
Mr. Mayor, so you're aware, Commissioner Mullins does have his hand raised as well.
Okay.
Right, thank you.
Let's let a second, Jeff. Let's see if Mr. Rhodes comes up with the answer real quick, and then I'll have you make your comment.
Yeah. Well, it was a question, so maybe somebody can answer it while he's looking.
Okay, go ahead.
Okay, the question is whatever date we're talking about here, is that the date that we want to have City Hall open 5 days a week as well as full hours instead of the reduced hours? I think it's noon to 5 now or something like that. Is that what we're at now?
That's correct. We're at noon to 5, yes.
And is this motion asking for going back to regular hours as well as 5 days?
That's how I understood it.
Yes.
Okay.
Okay.
Thank you.
Okay, so I think I've got the right section here. Commissioner may bring before the city commission any business that he or she feels should be elaborated upon by the commission. These matters need not be specifically listed on the city commission agenda. A formal action on such matters should be deferred until a subsequent city commission meeting, except that immediate action may be taken upon a vote of 2/3 of all members. When reading that, and I guess I would ask Roger's opinion, reading that this is in the city commission procedural, does that mean we have to vote on taking up the issue, or does a 2/3 vote satisfy it? And you're muted, Roger.
I'm sorry, Ken, could you ask me again?
Okay, so I'll read it again. someone will bring something up, these matters need not be specifically listed on the city commission agenda. A formal action on such matters should be deferred until a subsequent city commission meeting, except that immediate action may be taken upon a vote of 2/3 of all members. So I guess does that mean we need to vote for 2/3 to put it on the agenda, or does it need to have a 2/3 on the item that wasn't listed?
No.
2/3 on the item that wasn't listed.
Okay. Which I believe would be 6 out of 8.
Five point something. It's
Yeah, it'd
5
be
point.
6. It'd be 6.
Which is 6, yeah.
Oh, if it's over 5, even if it's not over half,
You round up.
you round up. All right.
I'm not a whole person.
Roundup causes cancer.
Okay. All right, so we have a motion on the floor and support of this motion to open City Hall. What date now again?
August 24th from 9 to 5, Monday through Friday.
Okay. Any other questions, comments? Andrew?
I saw Commissioner or Vice Mayor Good, you had your hand raised. I don't know if that was just to make a comment on the math.
That was the math.
Okay. Then no, I don't see anything.
I have
Mr. Lippman.
I have a question. Aren't we open 5 days a week? We're just on a short day on Tuesday?
Tuesdays, we have been closed the entire day.
Well, the entire day? You ever consider going back to a half a day on Tuesday?
Fucking idiots.
This is dollars and cents, folks. Somebody's going to pay for this.
Michael, have you thought of going back to half days on Tuesday?
I'll be honest, I've considered not being closed on Tuesday, but I've not considered a half day on Tuesday. I think we're either closed on Tuesday or we're open, and it appears we're going to be open if this motion passes. That's what we work on.
Does that answer your question, Skip?
Answers my question, I guess.
All right. Thank you, sir. Again, let's go ahead and try to get this vote through. Any other comments? Andrew's not saying any. Mr. Rhodes, roll call, please.
Commissioner Mullins, you're muted.
Yes.
Commissioner Klinger.
Yes.
Commissioner Malone.
Yes.
Commissioner Wiki.
Yes.
Vice Mayor Good.
Yes.
Commissioner Burr.
Yes.
Commissioner Lippman.
No.
And Mayor Heil.
Yes.
Motion is carried. 7 votes to 1.
Okay, motion carries then. Mr. Burr, you were the one that had brought this up. Any more comments?
No, thank you, Your Honor.
All right, thank you very much. Things have changed a little. My screen keeps bopping around. Let's go to Commissioner Mullins.
Oh, thank you, Mr. Mayor. Just real quick, I just want to give a thanks to Jeff Smith. He's still here? Yeah. Director Smith and Deputy Chief Benazik as well for the support that they showed for a kid named Landon Brumball in the community last night. They had a little drive-by for him. He was in a near-death situation at one point, been in the hospital, just got home, and we were going to do a little drive-by parade, and to my surprise, fire truck and police showed up and did the whole thing like a big shebang. So good on you guys and showing up for the community like that for a young kid. Really brightness. So thank you very much for allowing your guys to do that. And other than that, I just say be kind to one another. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Mullins. Commissioner Wiki. You're muted, sir.
I got it now. Just 2 things. I just wondered if maybe it'd be possible if the city would post on social media section about pools. Because I know maybe it's already happened that some of those pools are on sale, and you know, people are thinking, oh, that's a great idea, let me go buy this pool, and not even thinking about what they're about to do. Just to get that awareness out there and people understanding regulations and codes and all that, I think it might be a good idea if we could do that beforehand and save some people some headaches, as well as you know, for the staff too to have to deal with it. So just thought that might be a good idea if you could kind of cut that section out of the recording here. Then the last thing is just wondering if Vice Mayor is trying to do subliminal messages to us via his clothing. That's all.
Thank you, sir. Commissioner Klinger.
Thank you. You know, I just, you know, speaking to public safety, Jeff, thank you to you and your force and the protection you provide our community. You know, things have gone awry here and there this year, and time and time again, you guys show up, first response, quick to action, and always mitigate well. I can't thank you enough for the effort. Outside of that, I appreciate the consensus and the working together to find a commonality on City Hall being open on Tuesday. I'm excited for styrofoam recycling, as silly as that sounds. And I gotta concur with Justin about the subliminal messaging on John's shirt. That's all.
Thank you, sir. Commissioner Malone.
Nothing tonight. Thank you.
Thank you. Commissioner Lippman.
Nothing tonight.
Thank you, sir. Vice Mayor Good.
Yes, Mayor, just a couple of things. One, I want to reiterate how excited I am about the resurgence of the building trades activity. I think that the community will benefit from that greatly. And the hard work that Monica has done and Will has done, and Wally and Tom, all the people that have been involved in that, including other staff members, I'm sure. I think that the building trades class and the creation of potential new tradesmen within the community is extremely important. In addition to that, I would also like to thank the commission for coming together and seeing to it that the City Hall will be open 5 days a week. And also, I look forward to volunteering for the styrofoam collection. I believe our city is doing a great service to the community by that. And each time that we've done it so far, it's gotten more participation every time. So I believe the community is learning to appreciate that styrofoam recycling. And that's all I have, Mayor. Thank you.
Thank you, Vice Mayor. Again, I'm just going to read a little what John said. I'm kind of excited to see this building trades program and getting some nice homes on those vacant lots. It'll look great for our community, and hopefully people get something they can afford and live in here. Before I leave, I've gone around this whole thing. Monica, I'm going to let you, if you got anything you would like to add before we get ready to go to our closed session here. Do you want to add?
Yes, I do. On behalf of my board of directors and our officers, we just appreciate the city's continued support. We're really excited about this program too. We've wanted to work with building trades for years, and this, you know, other than it being a practical solution, it's the safest way to do it. And the more people we can bring in as community partners, the better it's going to be for the program and for the students. And we really want to make sure that we promote them and their efforts as well and the work that they'll be doing. So thank you again for the support of this yet another program through SNP. And to Will for helping me and answering questions, and Will is as much a part of this as SNP and really helped bring it together and make it happen.
Thank you, Monica, for what you do. Before I ask for a motion to go in closed session, Andrew, do you want to explain to what we need to do here? To remind
Sure. So much as we did last time, there will be, you would have received a second email, this time from Mike, discussing the closed session or allowing you entry into the closed session. You'll want to enter or exit out of this meeting. If you take your cursor to the bottom of your screen, if you're on a PC, there should be a red button in the lower right-hand corner that says leave the meeting. You'll use that to exit this meeting. Use the email from Mike to enter the closed session meeting. Once closed session has been completed, you will close out of that meeting, and then you will come back into open session using the original email, which I sent you. So I think that's it. If anybody has any questions, let me know.
Thank you, Andrew. I will take a motion to go into closed session to discuss a personal evaluation at the request of the employee.
So moved.
Hang on a second. Property and union negotiations.
So moved.
Support.
Roll call.
Commissioner Malone,
Yes.
Commissioner Mullins,
Yes.
Commissioner Wiki,
Yes.
Vice Mayor Good,
Yes.
Commissioner Littman,
Yes.
Commissioner Klinger,
Yes.
Commissioner Burr,
Yes.
Mayor Heil.
Yes.
We're going into closed session.
See you guys.
Am I there, Ken?
Skip,
Skip, you're still in this meeting, so you need to exit out of the, just hit leave meeting somewhere at the bottom.
Okay. I thought I did, but I'll do it again.
Okay. Okay.